Hi friends, today I am bringing you a hip flow. We will be up and moving a little bit, but the focus will primarily be on unwinding tight spots in your hips. And I'll be offering modifications all throughout class as always, but I'll also be offering accelerations. So there'll be times where it might feel better to pull back a bit, especially if you have tighter hips or you are feeling really achy or sore, and I'll offer space for that. But it could be that you're somebody coming into this with pretty open hips and it feels good to go a little deeper, and I'll be giving a few spots where you can play with that as well. Wherever it is that your hips are starting from, join me in a seat. Any seated position is welcome. If you feel best with your legs out long or wide, you're welcome to. I'm coming with tighter hips today, so I'm also sitting on a blanket to raise my hips up off the ground just a couple of inches, which can really help to find a little bit of a longer spine and less kind of that compression low back struggle that can happen when you're sitting. So if you'd like to, you can sit on a blanket or pillow or a block. You can always move it out of the way if you realize you don't want it. And then if it feels safe to close your eyes or just shift your gaze soft and down, showing up here for your practice, for your body, for your breath and movement. Spending just this moment of honoring the effort it took to arrive. And part of honoring it is really being here. Take your left hand to your heart, and then you can either take your right hand to your belly, or if that doesn't feel great, you can always take both hands to your heart. Take a big full breath together. Inhale, let the belly get big, broad, and full. Holding for a moment, and then exhale, let it all back out. Hands come back down, eyes flutter open. Slowly take your left fingertips out towards the edge and reach your right arm up high, big side body stretch. Feeling your right hip anchor down and noticing if your shoulder starts to come down and just gently peeling the right shoulder back. You may even shift your gaze up towards the sky. Feeling some heaviness through the right hip. This is a great spot for a block as well if you like to add a little length to your arms or a little height to your ground. Both often sound like just the right option. One more full breath here. And then using your fingertips to guide you all the way back up and through center, and right hand comes down, left hand reaches up and overhead. Something that we'll be playing with a bit during this practice is movement in your postures. And you can kind of begin that here. If it feels good to be a little buoyant, you can bring a little buoyancy. If it feels better to be static, a little more still, just noticing. One more full breath. And guide yourself back up to a seat. Take your hands towards your knees and we'll begin to draw circles. Thinking about stirring the pot. If your pelvis was a big pot, you'd be taking this spoon of your spine all the way around. This is taking me back to teaching kids yoga, but we all benefit from some of those same movements. All the way around. And then as it feels available, you can start to exaggerate this, bringing your spine more in. If that doesn't feel right yet, don't do it. The way that I loop this together is inhaling and letting the belly drop down and the heart move forward. Exhaling and tucking the tailbone, the belly, the chest. Almost like a cat-cow where you circle. Change directions when you feel ready. Again, this might be a much smaller movement for you, more of just a little stir, or it might be big. Two more breaths right here. And then slow it all the way down, and we'll come to all fours. If you know that you like to use blocks in your practice, it will probably be helpful to you during this one. You can take your blocks towards the top of the mat so they're available. And then coming down onto hands and knees, I like to always put a blanket underneath my knees just for a little extra comfort. I don't have any particular injuries, but it just helps bring some extra care. Spread your fingertips nice and wide. Pointer fingers are pointing towards the top of your mat. This will help you kind of spin your hands out just slightly and give you some really strong alignment. Claw through your finger pads. And then tuck your toes and begin to lean back and come forward. Lean back and come forward. If this is too much for your wrists, come down onto your forearms. If you'd like a little more flexibility work in your wrists, flip your fingertips back towards your knees. It's asking quite a lot. Take about 2 more breaths here. Draw your low belly in. And then if the wrists are spun, unwind them. And start to walk your hands all the way back, resting on your heels. You might feel the bottoms of your feet very quickly start to communicate with you. We won't be here too long, stretching out those feet. If your feet live in shoes all day, you will especially feel this as you're waking up all of those different nerves and connectors, knowing that at any point, if it's too much, untuck. You never want to move in your practice into a part where you feel pain. Instead, you're looking sometimes to find the edge, mostly to find stretch and comfort. Slowly start to lift up, and then however you get there, left foot steps forward. Staying tall in your low lunge, not dropping in really deep into your hips. We're getting into our hips a little differently today, with a little bit more structure, not my norm. A series of 90-degree angles, having your knee come right underneath your hip, your ankle underneath your knee. Reach your arms up high. If you have more sensitive shoulders, you might take your arms a little wider, and this may be where you stay. Otherwise, start to bring your fingertips together. Thinking about lengthening your spine and moving your left hip back. Feeling your thighs squeeze together. Gently bend your elbows. Feeling your thumbs at the nape of your neck. That might not be available. If it's not, you'll just find a bend here. Lift your chin. Challenge your balance a moment. Low belly comes in. Hips stay pointing forward. One more full breath. And then reach your fingertips back up high. They don't have to touch. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, twist left shoulder back, right arm forward. Holding here. Actively reach through both sets of fingertips. And then take your left hand to your low back and start to reach your right arm up high. Maybe you even lean back an inch, maybe not. One more deep breath here. Right hand comes back forward, both arms reach up high. And then start to heel toe your left foot out wide, turn the toes out towards the edge, hands come to your hips. Gently now start to bend deep into your left knee and come on back out. Bend in deep. Come on back out. Another spot to play with movement. If your back knee is starting to get pretty fatigued from being on top of it, start to slide your right knee back a few inches. Hands might come to a block for support, and maybe you find some static, still space in your lizard lunge. If you like to come down much deeper, you can come to your forearms rolling onto that outer edge of your left foot. But I want to give you this buoyant option, the movement option today, of drawing some hip circles, sliding the hips back and towards the front, back and towards the front. If you've never played with this sort of movement, go really slow. Feel into these spaces. As you send the hips back, you'll be starting to stretch through your hamstring, which can be quite a lot, and then back through. You may find that rocking feels good. One of the ways that we can soothe our own bodies is through rocking and moving. If you're drawing circles, start to switch directions. It will feel counterintuitive initially. We'll take 2 more breaths, knowing that you might have been staying still, supported the whole time. And then wherever you are, start to heel toe your left foot back in line. Press yourself back up tall. And then step the left knee back underneath you, and we'll switch sides. This time, right foot steps forward. And again, anything you need, I'm in an attic, so I have low walls here. Sometimes I just use the wall to help support me in those transitions. Staying tall, thinking about each of your vertebrae in your spine, getting a little bit of extra space, and then noticing kind of your natural tilt. Do you naturally kind of lean forward or arch through your back? Do you naturally round and hunch? And start to find this strong alignment. This will move through into your posture as well. If your belly feels a little bit compressed here, you can always take your front foot out wider and then gently reach your arms up high, bending at the elbows. Lift your chin. Think about getting longer through your triceps. Again, it could be right here or maybe here. The goal is to help this asana, this movement, fit the ways your body needs to move. We don't try to squeeze our bodies into a specific shape, but instead find the way that that shape can be comfortable, growth-filled, and compassionate in your body. Slowly reach fingertips back up high. Inhale, grow a little taller. Exhale, left hand forward, right hand back, big twist. Reach through both sets of fingertips. Slowly take your right hand to your low back, reach your left arm up high. One last full breath here, actively twisting back. And then unwind, both arms reach up high. Start to heel toe your right foot out wide, lizard lunge, opposite side. Hands might come down to the ground or to a block. That knee is starting to feel fatigued. You might be sliding the knee further back. This will help you into your hips a little further. And then options abound. Maybe staying still. Maybe coaxing the hips back if they feel pretty tight here. Or if it feels good, play with some movement, some rock, some sway, some extra stretch. Trusting that you know ways to move that feel good to you. Oh, hi, Muffin. Muffin the yoga cat. She joins me very often when I am teaching. And even more when I am just practicing on my own. She likes to lay there with me. If you are moving in circles, change directions here. Doesn't need to be huge movements. 2 more deep breaths. And then gently start to walk yourself back up. Right knee comes back underneath you. Tucking the toes, sitting back on the heels. Again, noticing if you need to come off of those toes a little bit sooner, it's just fine. And then slowly take your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers and straighten out your arms. If that's not available, you can either use a strap or a scarf or a belt, or just keep your hands reaching back, palms in towards each other. No matter where you're moving from, think about zipping up the pelvic floor, drawing it in and up, low belly in and up, and then resist the urge to press the heart forward and scoop it in. Belly in, ribs together, creating this strong, solid line. I know that your feet are loud right now. We'll take just a couple more breaths. I can be here now, present, not moving forward yet, not thinking about what else I need to do today. Last breath. And then slowly lift up, untuck your toes, give them a little pat, and we'll move towards a forward fold at the top of the mat. Tucking your toes and lifting your hips, you can move through a downward facing dog if that's part of your practice. If it isn't, head straight forward towards your forward fold. Maybe you're taking this pause in down dog to wiggle, jiggle, shake it out. And then we'll all make our way towards a forward fold. Heel toe your feet apart, nice and wide. Bend your knees generously and let everything hang down. If when you come into a forward fold, your body starts to move up, gravity is happening and you can't take a deep breath, grab a prop, a block, maybe even a couple of blocks, and lift yourself up so that you shift your relationship with gravity and can breathe here. Another option if you don't have any props is to just bend your knees more generously and take your hands to your knees. If you've got space and it feels good, you can catch at the elbows. Find a rag doll. We'll take 2 more full breaths right here, whatever you need from it. And then if your hands are bound, release them and roll yourself all the way up to standing. You can keep the feet nice and wide and take your hands to your hips. Breathe here. If hands on your body doesn't feel great, you can always take palms open instead. Close your eyes or shift your gaze down. And repeat to yourself that anchor of I'm here now. Even if it is just for one exhale, you can be here with your body for this exhale. On your next inhale, reach your arms up high. Exhale, palms together at the heart. Walk your feet slightly closer together. Step just your right foot back, setting up for Warrior Two. If you've never done a Warrior Two, take a look down at your feet. You want to think about drawing could be a wavy, but a soft line between your front heel and your back arch. That'll help you find that 45-ish degree angle in the back leg. Bending your front knee, noticing if your front knee is rolling in towards your big toe or out towards your pinky edge, and looking to center forward. And then hands to the hips, turn your chest towards your long edge and arms extend. Now we're going to play pretend. We don't play pretend much as an adult, so it's really great practice. If it starts to feel like too much to be in this Warrior Two, just shorten your stance a bit, making it a little bit less intense. Taking in your hands as though you are holding a big rope across your body. I think of it as that semi-traumatic gym rope that we were supposed to climb and I've never been able to climb, but that's all right. Here I can play with it. Hold on to that big rope as though it is being pulled tight across you. Inhale to be pulled forward by something really strong. Your belly engages here, you're pulled, lower body is really sturdy, and then get ready to take it back. Exhale. Inhale forward. Exhale back. I know it is silly, but if you actually imagine that you are pulling a rope and you are working here, you'll feel your muscles turn on. Maybe you even start to shake a little bit in effort here. That muscle-brain connection that you have already is good. 2 more. Last one. Meet in the middle. Hands come back to the hips. Straighten out your legs and parallel your feet to one another. Take your hands back to your hips. Take a big deep breath. And then turn your heels in and toes out. Bend your knees and sit down. You might only sit a couple inches. Maybe you come down real deep. Notice if you start to lean really far forward or begin to put all your weight into your big toes and come up a bit, rolling out into the outer edges of your feet, goddess pose. Hands can stay on your hips or you can reach them out. Any variation, welcome. Keep pressing into the outer edges, strengthening the outer hips here. We'll stay for 2 more breaths. I can be here now is that strong, strong mantra. And then slowly straighten out the legs. Turn your left toes back towards the top of the mat. Now right toes turn towards the top, high lunge. Arms reach up high. Funky movement here. We'll do it a few times. Big inhale. Exhale, step up into your tree pose. From your high lunge, inhale. Exhale into tree pose. Any version of tree pose is welcome here. You might pause with toes on the ground or maybe up on your calf, but it's one you can step into. Exhale, step up. Maybe you've done it a few times now. Inhale back. Exhale, step up. We'll take 2 more together. Inhale back, high lunge. Exhale, tree. Last one. Exhale, tree. Now, if you'd like to support yourself a bit and find some help to get to a different spot, go for it. Maybe you have toes to the ground. You might even use a block for this more sustained version. Find a place to focus your gaze, your drishti, your focus point. If this feels pretty solid and you want to keep playing a little, close your eyes. See what happens when you shift to an internal focus. We'll stay one more full breath here. Any arm variation. And then cross your right foot in front of your left. If you need to do a little plie to find space for your thighs, go for it. And your feet might be more staggered than crossed. That's fine. Slowly start to reach your right arm up and towards the left. Left arm reaches across your body. I'm not mirroring you, so I'll look opposite. Actively reach. You'll feel this twisting happening through your chest and your thoracic spine. One more breath. And then unwind. Unwind the feet. Palms open. Mountain pose again. One more full breath. And then hands back to your feet. This time left foot steps back, warrior two. Take that moment of check-in, front heel, back arch, having a little line between them. Bend your front knee, thinking about your chest turning towards the long edge and arms extend. Take a hold of your big rope. This time bring your focus really deeply to your belly. Low belly draws in. Pelvis is nice and neutral. Inhale, pulled forward. Active pull back. You might find yourself wanting to use really strong, loud breath. That's great. Maybe you even grunt, make some big noises. Maybe it all feels really vulnerable to pretend, to use your imagination. It is so good for all brains, all ages. Last three. Sturdy lower body, two. Last one. Straighten out your legs. This time, heels turn in, toes turn out, and arms extend, five-pointed star. Take a big inhale, grow extra broad. Exhale, bend the elbows, bend the knees. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last two. Inhale up. Might be a small motion. Last one. Inhale up. Turn all your toes towards the top. Bend your right knee. High lunge, moving into your high lunge and tree pose. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, tree pose. Challenge your balance. Inhale back. Exhale, tree pose, the one that you can come to passively, so without the support of your hand. A lot of times people want to head immediately to the highest tree they can, up high on their thigh. Not this time. Last two. This might be something where you're stepping and doing this in a few steps. However you move through it is good. Meeting in tree. A version that you can sustain. Any arm variation. Thinking about your hips pointing forward, your low belly squeezing in a bit. Bringing a bunch of support to your low back today. We're working on maybe the less obvious hips today instead of just opening. We'll do more of that as we close, but the outer hips, the glutes, the low back, giving all of this area a little unwind and support. One more full breath. And then cross your left foot in front of your right. Remembering you might have more of a staggered foot than a crossed foot. And then gently start to lift your left arm up and overhead. And right arm reaches across your body. Kind of this big active movement. And it might be much smaller, much softer, especially if you feel a little twingy in your back. I think of it as a moment from Beauty and the Beast. Be our guest. We just watched that for the first time recently. I mean, I've seen it 1,000 times, but my kids hadn't seen it yet. One more breath here. And then slowly unwind and unwind. Give each of the legs a good wiggle, jiggle, or shake. And then walk your feet out wide as the mat. Toes are turning out, heels are turning in. If you know that yogi squat malasana feels great in your body, head on down. If you're somebody with twingier knees, or hips, you might want to sit on a block. This can be a great way to kind of modify that asana. Another option is to sit down onto the ground, have your legs out a little bit wider. You can either from there hold on behind the knees and be really active, or you can stay a little more reclined and soft. You can also sit up against a wall. Malasana, yogi squat. So many different ways to do this. Find your way to yours. If it feels safe to close your eyes, close your eyes. And then no matter where you are with it, feel the ground underneath your feet. Like feel into your toes. Notice if you can feel anything through thick, calloused heels. Pressing again into the outer edges of your feet, you'll feel your adductors turn on a little bit here. Belly fills up with breath. One more deep breath. And then gently sit yourself all the way down if you aren't already. And then we'll come all the way down and onto your back. Gather your knees in. They might be wide or they might be tight, depending on what feels best for your belly. And start to draw some circles around your sacrum. I like my arms out or up and overhead for this. Some people like to hold on to their knees. You can just notice what it is that works best for you. And then still slow down your circles. Let your knees open wide, heels heavy towards your glutes. This is a passive happy baby. If this feels good to you, hang here. If you want more, you can reach your hands up for the inside or outside of your feet, feeling your tailbone heavy towards the mat. Or a little in-between spot is to take your hands underneath your knees and then letting your hands help your hips open a bit. No matter where you are, you want to come to a place where you can relax your jaw, fill up the belly, let your head be heavy on your mat. And happy babies are rarely still. If you like to wiggle, stretch, move here in ways that are a little different, there is no right or wrong way to have a body. And you get to move that body in the ways that soothe you. One more breath here. And then gently start to lower your feet down. Keep your feet out as wide as your mat and let your knees drop in towards center. If you're a little shorter or shorter legged like me, you might need to walk your feet in a little bit to make sure that's comfortable. And then find the spot where you are able to relax your inner thighs and relax your belly. This is a low back release. If you feel comfortable, you can take your hands to your hips or your belly, or if it feels better, you can keep your palms open. One more deep breath here. And slowly pull the knees apart. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. You might stay right here, or if you'd like a little bit more, you can gently draw your left knee in. This can feel like a lot. If, however, you're one of those people we talked about at the beginning with very open hips and you'd like even more, take your right foot into your left hand and start to move your left elbow into the arch of your right foot and extend your left leg out, either with a bend in the knee or out long for a reclined pigeon. Again, that's only if you have quite a lot of hip room and it feels good to you. Keeping your foot planted or just a gentle float are all great options. Remembering you can wiggle, rock, sway. Two more breaths here. And then if your left foot's lifted, gently lower it down, uncross. Send both legs out long, arms up overhead. Take a big full body stretch, arch through the back if it feels right. And then gently rebend. This time crossing your left ankle over your right knee. All those same options apply. Maybe you float your right foot up. Maybe you take a hold of that left leg, finding your reclined pigeon. Your body is not symmetric. So what feels good on one side might feel terrible on the other. And that's bummer news in lots of ways. It can be parts of an injury or something that happened before. But the good news is it's information you get to then know about your body, and it's another way to take care of it. You know where you can focus some opening, where you might want to be cognizant of breathing into. It's part of our yoga to engage with that self-study, the noticing. Don't barrel through those things that give us more information, ignoring them. Instead, we let them be valuable. It's valuable to know. Knowing yourself better is a gift. We'll take 2 more breaths here. Movement is welcome. Stillness is welcome. And then gently lower the right foot down if it's lifted. Uncross. And we'll take any last final movements you'd like to take before your Shavasana. And then you may either close laying down. You could have those legs out long. Or if you want to turn off your video, stay a little longer in Shavasana, maybe take a legs up the wall or add some props to make it especially kind to yourself today. You can do that. Or if just that idea of laying and closing your eyes and being kind of vulnerable in that way feels not great to you, find a seat instead. There is no one way to rest. If it feels more restful to you to keep your eyes open, soft focus on things that you can be aware of in your space, go for it. We'll just take a few breaths of rest here. If you have longer, turn off the video and stay in that space for as long as you're able. You're welcome to close wherever you are, or if you'd like to close with me, you can come to a seat. No rush, no hurry. Bring your palms together at your heart if it feels authentic. If not, you can always take hands to your own heart. We'll close today with a deep breath, bowing to this practice of presence, being here with what the needs are, what the care is, and our bodies as they are today. Take a big inhale all together, and a big exhale. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope that something wonderful happens to you today.